Alrighty, in this video we are going to continue with our Allied campaign here in Red Alert 2. We have our end screen from the previous mission, and we are going to jump right into the next one by hitting continue in the bottom right corner here. As always, this is going to take us right into the cutscene that precedes the next mission, and so we'll watch that and then jump right into the gameplay.
Beautiful job in Hawaii, Commander. I know you have your heart set on seeing the beach at Waikiki, but we have new business in St. Louis.
The heart of Missouri is now the beating breast of all our ground control operations for the country. We'd be in sorry shape without her. The problem is that Yuri and his psychic corps have dropped another psychic beacon in the town.
I never wanted to send you in against our own citizens. But those psychic beacons are turning upstanding Americans into Soviet-controlled killers. Move fast, move wisely, and try not to hurt any of my constituents. All right?
Unfortunately, you may have to. Tanya's strike team is in place and standing by, but we can't tell how long they can go before the beacon takes its effect on them. One moment, Commander.
Oh, she's not kidding, Commander. If we don't move fast enough, we'll all become slaves to Romanov and his slime ball Yuri. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's nothing worse for a soldier than losing her mind. We're trusting you.
Establishing battlefield control. Stand by.
So right off the bat on this mission, we're going to receive only a handful of infantry units that we're going to have to get started with.
Battle control online.
So you'll see we have veteran status. Every unit we have is actually 3-star veteran status already. We have Tanya, and we have 2 engineers, as well as 5 GIs. So the initial objective here, actually before we go any further, let's take a look at our objective tab. This one is a little bit unique. So we have Objective 1, which is destroy the Soviet psychic beacon, which we're going to go ahead and do exclusively with the infantry units we have given to us. Objective 2, destroy all Soviet forces within St. Louis. And Objective 3, don't get Tanya killed. This is not really an objective necessarily, more of a caveat that if you lose her, if she's killed by the Soviet forces, you are going to lose the mission entirely. So essentially the only 2 objectives in terms of what we have to do are destroy the psychic beacon and then continue on and destroy all the remaining Soviet forces within St. Louis. So after we do complete this initial objective, after we take out this psychic beacon, there is going to be a pathway for us to construct a base. So we have ultimately, we will have more at our disposal than just what you see here. But actually, what you just saw there was something I'd never seen before myself. I guess enemy infantry units from down here, essentially terrain that is not the same height, can fire upon one another. So the enemy units were firing at my units up on a bridge, which makes sense, logically speaking, but I'd never seen that before that I can recall. But in any case, what you'll see here are a number of Soviet infantry units kind of running through the city, running under this bridge. We are positioned very well. We started over here with our infantry units. So they just kind of paradropped right in. And all you have to do is just walk them straight in a straight line on that bridge until you get to this base that has the psychic beacon in there. And once you get here, this is when the strategy really begins. Because as you can see, there are some base defenses that we want to avoid. So what we can do is utilize these barrels here to try and take out as much as we can in terms of the base defenses. And here I am not being very careful with Tanya already. My goodness.
Moving out,
So you will notice, I'm not sure if I've touched on this in the past, But these 3-star veteran status units, they instantaneously heal. They will automatically heal if they get injured. So if you get into a shootout of some kind with Tanya and an enemy force, you'll notice that she pretty quickly will start to heal. These dogs are scaring me. I don't want her to get snuck up on by a dog, prompting me to lose the whole mission. You'll notice that there are some power plants surrounding the psychic beacon as well, and if you take those out, we got to be careful because there are 2 more over here. So if you take out this chunk of the base, this side of the base, on this side of this kind of critically damaged stadium of some kind, the power will go out. So that's why she's able to stand right next to this Tesla coil here without risk of being zapped. Now you don't want to go destroying these Tesla coils because when you do that, it reduces the drain that the defenses are having on the power. And so if you were to get a little trigger happy and take out all 4 of these defenses around that psychic beacon, these 2 power plants on the other side here might cause those to go back on, or might cause the remaining defenses to go back on over here. So you just got to be careful. You got to play the cautious game of ensuring that their power doesn't come back on if you choose to start taking out their defenses. But once we took out all the power plants, there's no risk of that at that point. So we've destroyed everything, and this is kind of a standalone base, so we can pretty simply just take out that psychic beacon.
I'm there. I'm on it. Can do.
Reinforcements have arrived.
And there should be a transmission occurring at some point here.
I will obey the Soviet. Oh, where am I?
Unit lost.
Moving out, boss. I'm there. Yeah, baby. How about a
So right off the bat,
We're free. Where's the party?
Incoming
there
transmission.
it is.
Commander, we think you're going to like this one. It's Einstein's prism tech on wheels. The boys at the lab call it a prism tank.
How about a
Careful not to burn yourself.
I'm there.
Securing position.
So right off the bat, after we've destroyed that psychic beacon, you'll notice that kind of what seems to be randomly, all of a sudden a lot of the unrevealed terrain in our map up here in the top right corner began to be revealed. And the reason that is because the storyline is that the psychic beacon allows for the Soviet forces to exert mind control over the affected area, whatever that might be. In this storyline, that affected area was St. Louis.
This soldier is equipped with a nuclear battle suit. He can irradiate large patches of ground, making them impassable to infantry or light vehicles. Construction complete.
You got an order? I'm there.
New construction options.
Vehicle ready.
Building.
Ready to roll. High speed, low drag. Weapon ready.
In any case, so we have
Commencing
a new enemy unit. This is called a Desolator.
Bound forward.
That was just introduced to us.
Fire zone confirmed.
And they are extremely lethal against enemy infantry in particular. But even, if you get a large enough number of them grouped together,
Securing position. Good to go.
and or achieve veteran status, they can be quite effective against tanks as well. We also have a new tank available to us here that was just introduced. This is called a prism tank. And this guy here is one of, if not my favorite unit in the entire game. If I'm playing exhibition matches, skirmish matches on my own, this is the unit that I tend to utilize to completely win the entire match. So we'll get into what those guys can do, and we'll also touch on the Desolator at another time. Hopefully we can, gain Soviet technology in one of these missions that allow us to build it, but if not, worst case scenario, we can touch on it later.
Ready to roll. Securing
When
position.
we
On our way, sir.
do the Soviet missions as well. In any case, they're not sending a ton of forces at me, so I'm pretty tempted to simply go straight for their base. But if you take a look at these prism tanks, what they can do is essentially exert this laser offensive power here that just absolutely devastates anything from a significant range as well that you set them to target. So as you can see, we're just going to be able to go through and absolutely devastate their base with these units. But in any case, before I got cut off there a moment ago, the storyline here is that the city of St. Louis was taken over by Soviet forces utilizing mind control abilities and with that psychic beacon. And when you destroy that psychic beacon, we randomly get these civilians that no longer are under the mind control of the enemy. So you actually have access to those civilians. And you'll notice right off the bat that some of them have blue markings on their shoulders, I suppose that would be, or their sleeves. If you see that, those units with the blue markings can be detected by the enemy and fired upon by the enemy. So if you tried to explore any unrevealed terrain with those units, and you got close to the enemy base or any enemy forces, they would start to fire upon that unit. However, you'll also notice that you have access to these other civilian units that are not marked with those blue sleeves or shoulder pads, whatever those might be. We just have this guy in a plain white t-shirt and jeans, and this woman here as well. And these are unassuming, and so the enemy will not even attack these guys if you simply walk them straight into the base, the enemy base. So you can really take advantage of these guys here, these civilians that the enemy will not fire at, and you can completely explore the unrevealed terrain with no risk of being killed here. You can just walk them straight into this base, as you can see, and get a really good picture of, well, a complete picture actually, of what you're going to be dealing with here. Like I mentioned, these prism tanks here are given to you once you complete that first objective, and you can essentially win this entire mission with these prism tanks. I'll be frank with you. As we saw in the objective tab, the only other objective is to destroy all the Soviet forces in St. Louis. So we took out that psychic beacon, and now we're dealing with these Soviet forces. And if you just simply straight away go on an offensive mission here with these prism tanks that are provided to you down in the kind of at the shoreline here, you can essentially win the whole thing. It looks like they sold everything and they're just going to rush me with their units they have remaining, so they might actually destroy all my... they did destroy all of my prism tanks, but in any case, they did that as kind of a last-ditch effort to send whatever they had at me, so I'm not, devastated by that.
Our base is under attack.
We are still in pretty good shape here. As you can see, they've only got their war miners and some basic infantry units left, so even with the forces that were given to us, we can pretty easily repel this, I think.
Construction complete.
Outstanding.
And we did not get the victory message, so there must be something out here that we missed.
Securing position.
I'm not entirely sure what that is yet.
Unit reporting. Yes, sir.
But they're not sending anything else at us, so there must be something tucked away or unable to come our direction. I'm not entirely sure. There they are. So you'll notice that when your enemy sells everything and they kind of do that final rush in your direction, some of these buildings that are surrounded by walls will receive infantry units out of them when they're sold, because every building, for the most part, receives those infantry units that pop out of a building that is destroyed or sold. But they're stuck there because of the walls or the sandbags, like in this case. And so sometimes that's the first thing I would suggest you look for if you've seemingly reached the end of a mission, but for some reason it's not, giving you that final victory screen. I would definitely suggest initially looking through, making sure that the enemy base is well combed through, and that you haven't missed any infantry units. And that's all there is to this mission. So that one is far and away one of the more simple missions in this campaign here. The par time on that one is an hour in the bottom left corner here, and I have no idea why. As you can see, we were able to do that in 13 minutes and 29 seconds. So as far as I have experienced, that is a very simple mission. You can pretty easily take out that psychic beacon with your initial infantry troops that are given to you, and after that you can just take those prism tanks that are introduced and just go for it. Just take a stab at destroying the construction yard first so that they can't construct any other buildings, and then, kind of like I've talked about in previous videos, from there my preferred method is to target their construction yard, followed by the war factory that allows them to build tanks, and then the barracks. And after that, they have no production. They can't really send anything at you. And oftentimes, as you can see, they will just sell everything and try one last effort at rushing you with what they've got left. But in any case, very simple mission there. Really the only tricky part, which we didn't have trouble with on this particular time, except for a minor scare at the beginning, is that you have to keep Tanya alive. If anything sneaks up on her, or she's killed for any rhyme or reason, you fail the mission entirely, and you'll have to start over. But in any case, that's all there is to this one, and we will continue on with the next one in the next video.